Welcome back everyone. In today's video, I will teach you how to do simple graphing with the TI-84 Plus. Now, in order to graph something, first of all, I would like to show you how the graph button works. So when you press graph, you can put certain coordinates in and you can get a graph to yourself. But in order to get those coordinates, you have to first go to y equals and write an equation. For instance, by the way, this button is the unknown, x. In order to write an equation in the TI-84, you always have to use that button. Now, let's begin. For instance, let's type in a random equation, 9x plus 9, for instance. Now, when we graph this, something like this comes up, but there are windows. So the x min is the minimum value that the x can take in our graph that we want. X max is the maximum. XSCL is basically the amount of difference, the distance that the graph will go through. For instance, if we do 60, the distance between 2 points will be 60. So the graph will be differing in that sense. And y min, y max works the same way as x, but only in the y-axis. And the YSCL is the same for the y-axis as well, the difference in points. Now, let's begin. In graphing, for instance, this is our graph when we punch in these windows. For instance, if my x min was, let's say, 6, and x max was 90, then the graph will be different, as you can see. So the windows really do make a difference, and just punching in an equation is not enough, and you have to be careful of your windows. Change that. By the way, if you're in 10th grade, you don't have to care about the XRes, X, and trace step. So I will teach that in another video. This is just simple graphing for now. And this is how graphing works basically. By the way, there's another way you can use the graph button. For instance, when you go to apps, if you want to find the quadratic equations unknowns, the x values, then you would go to placement, enter, polynomial root finder, and then you would press the button graph, and then a quadratic equation will come up. You can change the equation however you want. For instance, 9 like this. Then you would press the downwards arrow, and then 6 and 50. Now, when you press graph, no real roots, for instance. So that is possible as well sometimes, because as you know, not all quadratic equations have a root. And it's another experience. But if you want an equation with a real root, then you would press this again, graph, and then you would, for instance, punch in 1, -20. Also, in my previous video, I explained the difference between the two negatives. So if you haven't watched it yet, I would advise you to go watch it. Then let's graph this. And these are the x values. So instead of using the quadratic formula or completing the square or factorizing, you can just use placement. Although in some exams you cannot use this because they do not allow you, and they ask for a specific way, like how you find. They ask for the process, and this calculator does not give it. So only use it if they don't ask for the specific process. That's all for today. This is simple graphing with the TI-84 Plus. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.